What's going on, and welcome back to another gear review and setup. And in this video we're going to be going over the Galvion Caiman bump helmet. Now, whether you want to go with a ballistic helmet or a bump helmet, it is entirely up to you. Bump helmets are just going to protect you from bumping your head and smashing your head into whatever operational environment you might be in, and the ballistic helmet is going to offer that ballistic protection. So, not to insult anybody's intelligence, but do know the difference between the helmet that you're buying. Take the time to do the research because it is important depending on what you're doing. So with that, I do know a lot of people that actually do wear bump helmets in tactical environments. That's a decision that they've made entirely on their own. I have done it as well. Sometimes the mission or the situation just dictates that you have to wear certain equipment, and that is a necessary risk that is assumed during that operation. So with that, I'm not going to get into all that. I know a lot of people can feel pretty strongly about that. Just understand your operational environment and what you have going on. For SOF, it's a little bit different than the regular Army or the conventional military. So there are applications and times where you do have to select different equipment than what is just issued. So with that, I want to focus on this helmet. This helmet is going to cost you roughly around $700. As far as the comfort and how this thing is set up, this is absolutely a helmet you can pull straight out of the box and just run with it, compared to something like a Cry Precision where you have to be a little bit more involved with the setup because you have to buy additional pieces and accessories for that. This guy, you don't really have to do any of that. You don't need a helmet cover for this, but I do know and have heard that there are helmet covers that are on the way for this guy, so keep a lookout for those if you do want those capabilities. But with that, until those come out, I do want to focus specifically on this guy and what it has to offer in comparison to all the other companies like Team Wendy, MTech, OpsCore, and Cry Precision. So that way you have the ability to determine what is going to be best for you, your mission, operational environment, and duty position. So without further ado, diving right into this guy. Like I said, it is a bump helmet. It does have quite a few cutouts. I think 8 total in all. You have 2 in the center and then 2 on the sides here. So this thing does breathe really, really well. You do have Velcro along the exterior of the helmet, so you have the ability to add different types of patches and accessories like this Faro Concepts PVS-31 battery pack retention system that I have on there now. It's a very involved process to put that on, so I decided to leave that on for this review. However, once I get to that actually setup portion of this helmet, you'll get to see all of that in action. So with that, when it comes to the side rails, these are probably one of the more interesting side rails, I should say. It has a lot of capabilities when it comes down to it. You can run all of your M-Lock, or not M-Lock, my bad, your arc rail adapter, lights and accessories and all of that. You can throw Picatinny rails in there if you want to. I advise against it. It kind of just makes things look sloppy. You can throw different types of hearing protection from Peltors to MSAs and all of that, and those connectors on here as well, whether you want to top mount them or back mount them, or if you just like to run your Peltors underneath the helmet like I do. That's my preferred method. That way I can take my helmet off at any point and still have that hearing protection and the ability to communicate. In addition to that, with these rails, you do also have these bungee cord sections to be able to tie things in, keep things secure, especially when it comes to cabling. These things are really, really nice, and they're a good substitute for a helmet cover if you don't want to run a helmet cover or if you just want to paint your helmet. So I do really like that feature with these guys. And then you do have your grooves for nuts and bolts and everything and keeping things locked into place like your lights. So in conjunction with that, you do have your mask adapter or connector right here. And then one of the cool things and the difference between this helmet and a lot of the other helmets out on the market is you do have this cutout right here. So when adding different accessories like these PVS-31 battery pack retention systems, you can help tie everything in and keep everything nice and tight. And then these bungees also offer retention for like V-lights if you want to add those to your helmets as well. So this thing really is set up to really help facilitate and maximize the potential and capabilities that you can throw on your helmet and give you the most bang for your buck right out of the box. With that, moving kind of around the helmet, you do have your bungee retention system for night vision. Always a very good thing to have if you're running night vision. And then you have your mount and shroud for your night vision to be able to mount all of that up. I really do like this system. It's a polymer exterior. I haven't had any issues with it so far. And then you have your metal or aluminum Wilcox mount in the middle right there. So a really nice system when it comes down to it. Interior of this helmet is probably one of the most comfortable pad systems I have ever worn. I put this thing on and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is something else entirely. Better than the Team Wendy stuff, better than the Oregon Aero, and some of the other pad systems that are out on the market. I even think that this is more comfortable than the Luxliner. So I'm really satisfied and pleased with this thing. It does a phenomenal job as far as comfort, breathability, and just a safe system overall when it comes to protecting your head. In this aspect, just from the bump portion. But moving to the chin strap, you do have a very adjustable chin strap. You have all of your adjustments that you can make, and then you do have the dial in the back here. It's kind of their own version of their system. I am curious to see whether or not you can throw a Team Wendy chin strap system in here. It would be cool to do that. I might try that out here in the near future, but I don't know if that will or won't work, just because of the way that this helmet is set up the way it is. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw everything back onto this helmet so that way you guys can see how I currently have this helmet set up for operational use. There are a lot of parts and components and pieces that I do want to go over, and then in the future I am going to do a full layout of a helmet and all of the detailed reasons why you want to have all the accessories, or I shouldn't say all the accessories, but lights and night vision, battery packs, counterweights, strobes, and all of that integrated into your helmet, so that way you're maximizing the space you have on your kit. So this is how I currently have my helmet set up for operational use, and this guy does have a little bit more going on compared to the Cry Precision and the OpsCore that I've done in the past. A lot of that just came down to Velcro use in space. This guy has a little bit more Velcro, and I don't currently have a helmet cover for this. I know there is one in the works, but until then, I'm just using the Velcro. But with the Velcro, it does offer the capability to run V-lights, be able to run this battery pack retention system in conjunction with these rails. So it offers a lot of additional retention and space to be able to maximize the space that I have and set this up to really enable me out on the field, both in training and in real-world environments. So I hope that this can be a guide for you and help you determine how you want to set up your helmet and what you need based off of what your mission, operational environment, and duty position is. So I'm going to start from the front, work all the way to the back, touch base on everything that I have going on, so that way you can reference that and then compare this to the other videos that I have and the other helmet systems. And then in the future, I'll definitely get on MTech, Team Wendy, and Hard-Headed Veterans and give you additional reviews and setups with those guys as well. So with that, kicking this off, when it comes to the front of this guy, when it comes to night vision mounts, I highly recommend going with Wilcox or Notoros. They're the two best companies in the industry, and they're the only companies that I trust when it comes to brackets for night vision. So I highly recommend going with them. When it comes to helmet lights, you're going to want to have an admin light and a searchlight, so to speak. Your admin light is going to be roughly around 75 lumens, and you want that to be roughly red, white, blue, and IR. The red and the white is pretty simple and self-explanatory. Red's going to be your noise and light discipline kind of mindset, and then your white is just for a low output white light if you need that. And then you have your blue light, which is going to highlight blood. It actually kind of makes blood look black on the skin. So if you're treating a casualty and you need to identify a bleed, you have the ability to find that bleed rapidly and then treat that wound accordingly. So I highly recommend that, and then you have that IR capability in there as well. I keep all of my admin lights on my left-hand side because I have my admin wrist board on my left-hand arm and a couple of other admin tools and equipment and all of that on my left-hand side. So having this set up on my left-hand side really enables all of that to work cohesively, and that way I'm not like cranking my head and doing all sorts of weird stuff when I'm trying to look at all of that information. So have this set up on your left-hand side, and then your searchlight is going to be on your right-hand side. This is the Surefire Scout 300. I would recommend going with the white and IR version. I had to give back the IR version that I had for work. So right now I just have this white light version, but it's it's nice to have that IR because if you need to stay green or under nods, you have the capability of doing that with a high output light. The reason that you want the high output light, or the Y, is for if you're in an environment or you're on a mission where you need to find something rapidly and you need the most situational awareness as possible. Having this high output, 250 lumens or above, really gives you that situational awareness to identify what you're looking for, grab it, and then be able to get off that objective as fast as possible. I've used this for both training and World War operations, and it is always something that I've always needed. So between the admin light and this light, I highly recommend it. The S&S Precision MX mount is a really good mount for this. You can run different lights with Picatinis, but I would recommend going this route just because it keeps things nice and streamlined. This MX mount comes in variations for both the arc rail and the MTech and TMID, more of the M-LOK system. So I would highly recommend that. When it comes to strobes, I prefer the Hellstar from Core Survival. This comes in a lot of different configurations and options. I have this in green, white, and IR. So, and that is kind of in conjunction with the V-lights, which I'll get into here in a sec. But whether you go with this, the S&S Precision Manta, or the MS2000, there are different options out there. This is probably one of the best in the industry right now, though. So, moving on, we have the V-lights. So I have both a red and a green. My green is currently broken. I'm actually getting a blue one to replace this guy, but having that red, green, and then blue on your helmet does really help with communicating, and especially in training environments when you're not position force, you can hit that red light so that way dudes on the catwalk can see who you are. The green is more just for operational use, or neutral, or instructors. They can throw that on, and then you have the blue light on that other side to be able to identify who's friendly in those training environments. And then in real world environments, you have the ability to communicate that as well. These V lights are kind of low output, so they are pretty visible, but it's not a super, like, your eye is going to be completely drawn to it if somebody's really, really far away. So and then last but not least, we have battery packs. So whether or not you need a battery pack for your night vision, there are a couple of different systems out there. This is the Faro Concepts PVS 31 battery pack retention system. You also have the TNVC Mohawk series, where those are going to be a lot more adaptable. You have different versions out there for battery packs. For the PVS 31, the Anvis system, and then also the ground AB night vision battery pack that's out as well. This guy's going to be specific to the PVS 31. So you do have some options when it comes to battery pack retention and strobe retention and all of that. I highly recommend it. It's really good to have. With this helmet, this thing works phenomenally, and I have a bunch of extra retention with this bungee on the side. So this is my preferred method for my use and my needs based off of what I have going on with my occupation. So with that, I have a little bit of Velcro on the back. I highly recommend it because it will give you the ability to be able to put markers and name tags, plates, and identifying information that you may need. This is just the business patch right now. So with that, I really don't have anything else. Hopefully this helps give you an idea of how to set up your helmet, so that way you have a better idea of what's or what can be put on your helmet, so that way you're walking into any situation with every tool that you need for your job. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment. We'll help you out in any way that we can. Like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.